Hello friends, welcome to Code Semantic and welcome to the video tutorial of Entity Framework 6. We are studying code first approach. So in this video, we are going to see default code first convention. Actually, I divided this concept in two videos. In first part, we are going to see the concept and second part will focus on practical implementation of it. Okay. So in my introductory video, I already explained you that there are three methods to configure your domain classes in code first. So default code first is first approach. Okay. Second approach is data annotation, and then after third approach is Fluent API. So we are going to study all the three configurations step by step. So here this video will cover default code first convention. So let us see what is default code first convention. Convention means what? The code first makes certain assumptions based on how code for domain model is written before creating the tables in the database. So these are called entity framework code first convention. Means you are not going to set any extra thing. You will just create a plain domain classes. You will define the properties in it, and based on that property type, based on your class name, based on your property name, your entity framework will decide what will be my column name, what will be my table name. So let us understand this default code first convention step by step. Okay, first of all, we are going to see what is table name convention. Okay, in code first, what we generally do, we create a domain class and from that our table get created. So what is the convention for table name? So whatever class name you have given, that will be pluralized. Okay, that will be pluralized, and that pluralized name will be the name of your table. Okay, means just assume that you created a class customer. Now what is the pluralized form of customer? Customers. Okay, pluralized form is what? Customers. So your table name will be customers. Okay, suppose you created a class employee. Your table name will be employees. So based on English language, it will either put S or ES. Okay, and that name will be assigned to your table. Now the next convention is for the column. Okay, what will be the name of columns in your table? So while creating a domain classes, we define the properties in domain class, and that properties are going to represent columns in your table. Okay, so whatever will be your property name, that will be going to be your column name. And one more important thing, all the public properties, okay, remember this thing, all the public properties which has getter and setter will be included. Means it should have get and set part, only that properties will be included and it will be considered as column. Now entity framework will create a DB column same as order of properties in entity class. But remember one thing, primary key columns would be moved first. Means if you define the primary key property later or at the end in your class, but in your database table it will be moved on first, and rest of the columns will have the same order as of your properties. Okay, now the next important thing, suppose any particular property you do not want to map to database table. In that case, what you can do, you can use this not mapped attribute above your property. Okay, so that particular property will be excluded. Now let us understand the data type mapping and column length. Okay, definitely while creating a classes and defining its property, we are going to use the C# data type, or more generally I'll say we will define the .NET data type. Now how that .NET data type will be mapped in database? Suppose your property is of type string. It will be considered as nvarchar max in your SQL server. I am particularly taking an example of SQL server. So in SQL server it will be mapped as nvarchar max. Now all of you are familiar that there are nullable data type also, specifically for value type of data, means integer, decimal, double, float. Okay, so how they get mapped? If you are just specifying your property of type decimal, then it will be not nullable column and it will be mapped as decimal. But if you are specifying nullable data type for decimal, which is specified as decimal, which is postfix by this question mark, so it is nullable decimal data type in .NET. So that particular column will be nullable in your database also. So remember this thing. So you can pause the video and go through this data types. So just one more important thing I want to say here, that char and sbyte do not map in database. So do not use these data types for your property. Okay, byte array will be mapped as var binary. Suppose you want to save any file in byte format, in that case you can use byte array. Now the conclusion is that entity framework create null columns for all reference types and nullable primitive properties. Okay, null columns will be for all reference types and nullable primitive properties, whereas not null columns for primary key properties and non-nullable value type properties. So as I showed you, see, this decimal, double, int, bool, these are what? Not nullable value. So for that, the columns will be not null. But for reference type like string or decimal question mark, this is nullable data type. Okay, decimal question mark, double question mark, int question mark, bool question mark. For this, my column will be what? Nullable. Okay, so I hope you got this. Now, next convention is for primary key. Now, what entity framework does? Entity framework will not allow you to create a table without the primary key. And just assume that you created a class, and if you won't specify primary key, so entity framework will throw an exception. And what is that exception? That exception is model validation exception. Okay. Now, how to define a property which will be considered as primary key in entity framework? Okay, so you can either specify a property with name id, okay, with name id, or with class name id. Now you have to replace the class name here. Means again I'll take an example of customer class. Okay, so your primary key will be either id or customer id. Okay, and again if primary key is not found, entity framework will throw the model validation exception. So remember this thing. Now the next convention is for foreign key. Now all of we know that foreign key are required. Okay, foreign keys are required to establish relationship between the tables. Okay, there are one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, and many-to-many relationship between your tables. So suppose you want to establish that relationship, we have to use foreign key. Now how we are going to specify the foreign key in entity framework or in code first approach? Okay, default entity framework will look for the foreign key property with the same name as the principal entity primary key name. Now for example, assume that we have two tables, department and employee. Okay, and there is one-to-many relationship between department and employee. One department has many employees. So according to this rule, there should be a department ID as a foreign key in employee table. So how we are going to define it in code first approach? We will create one department class, we will create one employee class. While creating department class, you will specify department ID as a primary key property in department class. Okay. Now, since you name that property as department ID, okay, the same name should be appear in employee class as a foreign key. Means that property name should be same as that of department ID. Okay. Now sometimes what happens, not sometimes, but if mistakenly if we do not specify for foreign key property, in that case In that case, based on our navigation properties, entity framework will create a foreign key column. Okay, entity framework will create a foreign key column. See, to establish a relationship between classes, we have to use navigation property. In database first approach also we saw this concept. So in database first approach, actually that part get created automatically for us, but in code first approach we have to specify that navigational properties also. So remember this thing. So if you specify the navigation property, but if you do not specify the foreign key property, in that case what happened, your primary key name will be something like this: dependent navigation property name underscore principal entity primary key property name. Again, I'll take a same example of department class and employee class. Okay, so your navigation property name is going to be department. So what it does, department underscore principal entity primary key property name. So the name of primary key property in principal entity is department ID. So your foreign key name will be department underscore department ID. So I hope you got this. Definitely you in next video we are going to implement this part practically also. Now as I said, we actually specify the foreign key to establish the relationship between the table. So there are three kinds of relationship possible: one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. So in code first approach or in entity framework, we can achieve this with the help of navigation property. Okay, so all these three relationships will be covered in the next video with practical. So I hope you understand this concept, and in the next video we are going to implement it. So if you have any doubts, you can definitely write it into the comment section. Thank you for watching.